It was the kind of fog that curled around the ankles and whispered secrets to the earth. The townspeople of Ashcroft had never seen anything like it. As the sun set, the mist thickened and an eerie stillness settled over the town. Then from the depths of the fog it appeared, a circus tent, black and silver, shimmering ominously under the pale moonlight. The posters were everywhere by morning, tacked onto trees and telephone poles, even plastered on the sides of buildings. "The Night Circus," they read, "one night only. Do you dare enter?" Curiosity outweighed caution, as it often does in small towns. By dusk, the entire town was abuzz with excitement, whispering about the sudden appearance of the circus and the promises of wonders beyond imagination. As the clock struck 8, a line had already formed at the entrance, and an unnatural chill crept through the air. Samantha, a local high school senior, stood with her friends at the front of the line. Her auburn hair caught the glow of the circus lights, her eyes sparkling with the anticipation of an adventure. She had always been drawn to the unusual, the macabre, and this circus felt like a dream come true. Beside her, Mike, her boyfriend, wrapped his arm around her shoulders, squeezing her tight. "I heard they have a freak show," he said, grinning. "Like real freaks, not the fake stuff." Samantha shivered, but not from the cold. The idea of seeing something genuinely grotesque thrilled her. "I can't wait," she replied, her voice a mix of excitement and fear. They purchased their tickets from a tall, gaunt man with pale skin and piercing blue eyes. His smile was unnervingly wide, revealing teeth that were unnaturally sharp. "Enjoy the show," he whispered, his voice like nails on a chalkboard. Inside, the circus was a twisted wonderland. The tents seemed to stretch on forever, each one housing something more bizarre and unsettling than the last. The air was thick with the scent of caramel and something metallic like blood. Flickering torches cast long shadows that danced along the pathways, and everywhere the faint sound of carnival music played, slow and distorted. The first tent they entered was filled with mirrors, but these were no ordinary reflections. As they walked through the maze, their images warped and twisted, reflecting not just their bodies but their deepest fears. Samantha saw herself with hollow eyes and a wide, gaping mouth, screaming silently. She stumbled backward, right into Mike. "Did you see that?" she gasped. "See what?" he asked, frowning. "They're just mirrors." Samantha glanced back, but her reflection was normal now, just her pale, frightened face staring back at her. "Never mind," she muttered, feeling a cold dread settle in her stomach. They moved on to the next tent, which was filled with strange, misshapen creatures. Some had multiple limbs, others had eyes that glowed in the dark. One particularly grotesque figure, with its body covered in scales and a mouth filled with needle-like teeth, hissed as they passed by. Mike laughed nervously, but Samantha couldn't shake the feeling that the creature's eyes were following her. As they exited the tent, a small clown appeared, seemingly out of nowhere. Its face was painted in a grotesque smile, and it held a balloon shaped like a heart. "Welcome to the Night Circus," it said in a high-pitched voice. "Would you like a balloon?" Samantha shook her head, trying to avoid the clown's unnerving gaze. But Mike, always the joker, reached out to take the balloon. The clown's hand was ice cold, and as it released the string, it whispered, "Be careful what you wish for." The balloon floated upward, but instead of rising into the sky, it hovered above them, casting a red glow over their faces. Samantha felt a surge of panic. "Let's keep moving," she said, pulling Mike away from the clown. They wandered through more tents, each one more disturbing than the last. In one they saw a woman suspended in a tank of water, her eyes open and unblinking, though she showed no signs of life. In another they watched as a man swallowed swords, his throat bulging unnaturally as he forced them down. The crowd cheered, but Samantha felt sick. Finally, they reached the main tent, where the evening's grand performance would take place. The ringmaster, a tall, slender figure dressed in black and silver, stood in the centre of the ring. His eyes gleamed with a sinister light as he welcomed the audience. "Ladies and gentlemen," he announced, his voice echoing through the tent, "prepare yourselves for a show unlike any other. Tonight, you will witness the impossible, the unimaginable, and the terrifying. Welcome to the Night Circus." The lights dimmed, and the first act began. Acrobats soared through the air, their bodies twisting in impossible ways. Fire breathers spewed flames that seemed to reach the very top of the tent. Each act was more breathtaking and horrifying than the last. Samantha watched in a trance, unable to look away despite the growing sense of dread. The final act was announced as the transformation. The ringmaster stepped forward, a wicked smile on his lips. "For this, we need a volunteer," he said, his eyes scanning the audience. They landed on Samantha. "You, my dear," he said, extending a hand, "come join us." Samantha's heart pounded in her chest. She wanted to refuse, to run, but her legs moved on their own, carrying her down to the ring. The ringmaster's hand was cold as ice as he guided her to the centre. "Are you ready to witness true magic?" he asked, his voice soft and menacing. Samantha nodded, unable to speak. The ringmaster raised his hands, and the tent fell into an eerie silence. The shadows around them seemed to grow darker, and the air grew colder. Samantha felt a chill seep into her bones as the ringmaster began to chant in a language she didn't understand. Suddenly, pain shot through her body and she screamed. Her skin felt like it was on fire, and she collapsed to the ground, writhing in agony. The audience watched in stunned silence as her body began to change, her limbs elongating, her skin turning pale and translucent. When the pain finally subsided, Samantha looked up to find herself transformed into a grotesque creature, her body twisted and deformed. The ringmaster laughed, a sound that sent chills down her spine. "Behold," he said to the audience, "the true power of the Night Circus." The audience erupted into applause, their faces twisted with delight at her suffering. Samantha tried to scream, but no sound came out. She was trapped, a prisoner in her own body. The ringmaster turned to her, his eyes cold and unfeeling. "Welcome to the Night Circus," he said softly. "You're one of us now." As the audience filed out of the tent, Samantha was left alone in the darkness, the reality of her fate sinking in. She was a part of the circus now, a sideshow freak to be gawked at and ridiculed. The next morning the circus was gone, leaving behind only the tattered remains of the posters and the lingering sense of unease. The townspeople went about their lives, their memories of the previous night already fading like a bad dream. But Samantha's friends never forgot. They searched for her, called her name, but she was never seen again. Some whispered that she had run away, unable to cope with the horrors she had witnessed. Others believed she had been taken by the circus, a victim of its dark magic. As for the Night Circus, it continued to appear in towns across the country, always leaving behind a trail of missing persons and shattered lives. Those who dared to enter never returned the same, if they returned at all. And somewhere in the darkness of the circus, Samantha waited, a twisted reflection of her former self, hoping against hope for a way to escape the nightmare she had unwittingly entered. But the Night Circus had her now, and it never let go.